Captain Marcus Kane walked across the bridge of the UES Leviathan. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he moved between the control stations. The massive warship stretched 12 kilometers from front to back, making it one of the largest things humans had ever built. 50,000 people lived and worked inside this giant ship, all dedicated to exploring the unknown parts of space. The Leviathan had been traveling through deep space for 3 months now. They were far from Earth and the other human colonies, searching for new worlds and new resources. Captain Kane enjoyed these long missions. Space was vast and full of mysteries, and he loved being the first human to see new things. "Captain, we have something strange on our sensors," said Chief Science Officer Lisa Martinez. She was looking at her computer screen with a worried expression. Lisa had been studying space for 20 years, and she rarely got excited about anything. But today was different. Kane walked over to her station. "What do you see, Lisa?" "There's a massive structure near the Kepler 442 system. It's huge, maybe 50 kilometers across, but it's not natural. Someone built it." Lisa pointed to her screen, which showed a dot of light surrounded by smaller moving objects. Kane felt his heart beat faster. In all their years of space travel, humans had never found proof of other intelligent life. They had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now it seemed they might have their answer. "First Officer Jake Harrison, please come here," Kane called out. Jake was a tall man with short brown hair who had served on many ships. He was good at handling difficult situations. "Yes, sir," Jake said as he joined them at the science station. "We may have found our first alien contact," Kane explained. "I want all departments ready for anything. But remember, we approach peacefully. We don't know who they are or what they want." Jake nodded. "Should I call the crew to battle stations?" Kane thought for a moment. The Leviathan was built for war if needed. It had weapons that could destroy entire cities and armor that could stop almost any attack. But they were explorers first, not conquerors, not yet. "But have everyone ready, and get Communications Officer Amy Foster up here. If these are aliens, we need to try talking to them." Amy Foster arrived on the bridge 5 minutes later. She was young but very smart, and she knew more about communication systems than anyone else on the ship. "Captain, I heard we might have found aliens?" "Maybe. Can you try to contact that structure with every method we have?" "I'll start with basic radio signals and mathematical sequences. If they're smart enough to build that thing, they should understand math." Amy went to her station and began working. As the Leviathan moved closer to the alien structure, more details became clear. The thing was enormous, bigger than any human city. It had smooth, curved surfaces that reflected light in strange ways. No human technology looked like this. "Captain, I'm seeing smaller ships leaving the structure," reported Jake. 36 vessels moving in perfect formation. "They're heading toward us." Kane watched the main screen as the alien ships approached. They moved unlike anything humans had built. Instead of the straight paths that human ships used, these vessels flowed through space like fish swimming through water. Their hulls seemed to change color as they moved. "How big are they?" Kane asked. "Each one is about 300 meters long. Much smaller than us, but they're fast and very maneuverable," Jake replied. The alien ships arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around the Leviathan. They maintained exact distances from each other and from the human ship. It was clear they had done this before and knew exactly what they were doing. "Amy, any luck with communication?" Kane asked. "I've tried everything, Captain. Radio, laser communications, even basic light patterns. They're not responding to anything I send." Kane felt tension building on the bridge. His crew was professional, but everyone knew this could be the most important moment in human history. First contact with an alien species could change everything for humanity. Suddenly, all the screens on the bridge flickered. Strange symbols appeared, flowing across the displays like water. Then impossibly a voice spoke directly into their minds. It was not heard through their ears, but felt inside their heads. "Unknown vessel, you carry weapons of great power. We are scouts of the Galactic Harmony Council. What species are you? And why do you travel with such destructive capability?" The bridge fell silent. Everyone stared at each other, wondering if they had all heard the same thing. The voice was clear and spoke perfect English, but it came from nowhere and everywhere at once. Kane cleared his throat. He knew that whatever he said next would be remembered forever. "I am Captain Marcus Kane of the human species. We come from the planet Earth. We are explorers seeking knowledge in new worlds. We carry weapons for defense only." There was a long pause. Then the voice returned, and this time Kane could hear surprise in it. "Humans. We have no record of your species in Council databases. Your ship is unlike anything we have encountered. It radiates power signatures that exceed our largest vessels. We mean no harm, Kane replied. We seek peaceful contact with other intelligent species. Your words speak of peace, but your ship speaks of war. The vessel you command could challenge our entire scout fleet. Where do humans come from, and how many ships like this do you possess? Kane exchanged looks with his officers. These aliens seemed both curious and worried about the Leviathan's power. That was interesting. Most human ships were built strong because space was dangerous, and humans had fought wars among themselves for thousands of years. Maybe these aliens were different. We come from a system you would know as Sul. As for our ships, we have built what we need to survive and explore. The pause was even longer this time. Finally, the voice returned, but now it sounded more formal and careful. Captain Kane of the humans, the Galactic Harmony Council will need to meet with your people. We request that you remain here while we contact our superiors. This encounter will require the attention of our highest leaders. Kane looked around his bridge. His crew waited for his decision. They were far from home, surrounded by alien ships, and apparently about to become part of something much bigger than they had expected. We will wait, Kane said finally, but understand that our people will expect us to return home safely. We hope this can be the beginning of friendship between our species. That remains to be determined, the voice replied. The Council will decide. The alien ships maintained their positions around the Leviathan as both sides settled in to wait. In the depths of space, two very different civilizations had met for the first time. Neither side knew what would happen next. The news traveled faster than light across the galaxy. Within hours of the first contact, every major world in the Galactic Harmony Council knew about the humans and their massive warship. Emergency meetings began on dozens of planets as leaders tried to understand what this meant for their civilization. On Altair Prime, Chancellor Zeftai stood in the Great Council chamber. The room was huge, with walls that showed the stars and planets of council space. Holographic images of other leaders appeared around the circular table, each one representing a different alien species. Some looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin. Others were more like giant insects or living crystals. All of them looked worried. The scout reports are clear, said High Admiral Veltar. He was from Centauri and looked like a cross between a human and a lion, with golden fur and sharp teeth. This human vessel is larger and more powerful than anything in our fleets. Our sensors show energy readings that exceed our best dreadnoughts by 10 times. Chancellor Zeftai felt a cold fear in her chest. For 3,000 years, the Council had kept peace in the galaxy. 47 different species worked together, sharing technology and resources. No single world or species had been strong enough to challenge the Council's combined might. Until now, how is this possible? Asked Counselor Nixera from the Diplomatic Corps. She was small and looked almost like a human child, but with silver skin and large black eyes. Our intelligence networks cover this entire region of space. How did an entire species develop this level of technology without us knowing? The answer came from War Coordinator Thaklon, a massive creature that looked like walking stone with glowing red eyes. Because they are not from this region. Our scouts traced their path from a system on the outer edge of Council space. They call it Sol. We never explored that area because it seemed empty and worthless. Admiral Veltar pulled up star charts on the main display. The Sol system is over 200 light-years from the nearest Council world. If humans developed there alone, they had thousands of years to grow strong without anyone watching them. The implications hit everyone at once. An unknown species had developed in isolation, building weapons and ships that could threaten the entire Council. They had appeared suddenly like a storm from clear sky. What do we know about their technology? Asked Chancellor Zeftai. Their ship uses power systems we do not understand, replied Chief Science Advisor Kexanim, who looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. The hull appears to be made of materials unknown to Council databases. Most concerning, their weapon signatures suggest they could destroy one of our stations with a single attack. One ship, muttered Councillor Drixtall from the Trading Guild. He resembled a giant spider but walked on 2 legs like a human. If they have built one ship like this, they must have others. No species builds only one of their most powerful vessels. War Coordinator Thakalon nodded his stone head. Intelligence suggests they have at least 3 more ships of similar size under construction. Possibly more. If each one matches the power of this Leviathan, They could challenge our entire Grand Fleet. The room fell quiet as the leaders thought about this. The Grand Fleet contained over 10,000 ships from all 47 Council species. It had never been defeated in battle because no enemy had ever been strong enough to fight it. But 4 human ships might be able to do what no other force had managed. What are their intentions? Asked Chancellor Zeftai. Do they come as conquerors or explorers? Their captain claims they are explorers seeking peaceful contact, said Admiral Veltar. But their ship tells a different story. No peaceful species builds weapons that powerful. Counselor Nixara stood up. Perhaps we should try diplomacy first. If they truly want peace, we can bring them into the Council as a new member species. We have done this before with other worlds. And if they refuse? Asked Thaklon. What if they demand we submit to them instead? The question hung in the air like poison gas. For 3,000 years, the Council had been the strongest force in known space. Every species that joined did so because they needed the Council's protection or wanted its benefits. None had ever been strong enough to make demands. We must prepare for all possibilities, said Chancellor Zeftai. Nixara, you will lead a diplomatic mission to make formal contact with these humans. Learn about their culture, their government, and their true intentions. What about military preparations? Asked Thaklon. Chancellor Zeftai looked around the room at all the worried faces. Begin quiet mobilization of the Grand Fleet. Call it training exercises for now. If diplomacy fails, we must be ready to defend Council space. And if their other ships join the first one? Asked Admiral Veltar. Then we hope our diplomats are very persuasive, replied the Chancellor. As the meeting ended, each leader returned to their own world to begin preparations. Some began building new weapons and ships. Others started moving their populations away from border systems. A few wise species began wondering if the age of Council dominance was coming to an end. On the industrial world of Kepler 5, massive factories that had been idle for centuries began working again. The machines that built warships started running day and night for the first time in generations. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds as the Council prepared for a war they hoped would never come. In the diplomatic headquarters on Vega Station, Ambassador Nixara studied every piece of information about humans that the scouts had gathered. She learned that they came from a world of water and land, that they were relatively young as a species, and that they had a history of fighting wars among themselves. This last fact worried her most. A species that fought itself would not hesitate to fight others. The most disturbing information came from analysis of their ship's construction. Human technology was different from Council methods. Where Council ships were specialized for specific tasks, the human vessel seemed designed for multiple roles. It could explore, fight, carry supplies, and even build other ships. It was like they had designed their technology for constant war, rather than peaceful cooperation. As Ambassador Nixara prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in Council history, she wondered if humanity could be reasoned with. Their ship suggested they were warriors, but their words spoke of peace. Which was the truth? Meanwhile, in the depths of space near Kepler 442, the UES Leviathan waited surrounded by Council scout ships. Captain Kane and his crew had no idea that their arrival had shaken an entire galactic civilization. They thought they were just making first contact with friendly aliens. They had no way of knowing that thousands of ships were already moving toward their position, or that the fate of 2 civilizations now hung in the balance. The waiting game had begun, and neither side knew how it would end. 3 weeks had passed since the first meeting. The UES Leviathan remained in the same position, surrounded by alien scout ships that never moved. Captain Kane had used this time wisely, learning everything he could about these Council species while waiting for their diplomatic mission to arrive. Ambassador Beth Collins stepped off the shuttle onto the Leviathan's main hangar deck. She was tired from the long journey from Mars but excited about this historic moment. At 45 years old, she had spent her entire career preparing for alien contact, even though most people thought it would never happen. Ambassador Collins, "Welcome aboard," said Captain Kane as he greeted her. "I hope the journey wasn't too difficult." "Nothing compared to what we're about to face," Beth replied with a smile. "I've read all your reports about the Council. This is going to be interesting." Captain Kane led her through the ship's corridors toward the conference room they had prepared for the meeting. Dr. Alex Turner has been studying their biology and behavior patterns. He's learned some useful things about each species. Dr. Turner was waiting in the briefing room with his computer displays, showing pictures and data about the different alien species. He was young but very smart, and he loved studying new forms of life. Ambassador, we've identified 5 main species that will be part of the diplomatic team, Dr. Turner began. The leader is Ambassador Crixtall from the Hegemony. They look similar to humans but with blue skin and are known for being very logical and analytical. Beth studied the images on the screen. What about their culture? How do they make decisions? That's the interesting part, Dr. Turner continued. The Council works by consensus. All major decisions require agreement from most member species. They've never had to deal with someone who could threaten their entire system, Captain Kane added. From what we've learned, they've been the dominant power in this part of space for thousands of years. Every species they've met has either joined them willingly or been forced to join. They don't know how to handle equals. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks joined the meeting. He was the ship's military expert and had been studying Council fleet movements. Our long-range sensors show massive ship movements throughout their territory. They're trying to hide it, but they're mobilizing for war. Beth felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Everything she said and did in the next few days could determine whether humans and the Council became friends or enemies. What about their military capabilities? Individually, their ships are much weaker than ours, Ryan explained. But they have thousands of them. In a straight fight, even the Leviathan might have trouble with their entire fleet. Then we need to make sure there isn't a fight, Beth said firmly. The next day, the Council diplomatic ship arrived. It was beautiful in a way that human ships were not, with flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to change color as it moved. The alien diplomats came aboard the Leviathan in a small shuttle that made no sound as it flew. The meeting took place in the Leviathan's main conference room, which had been modified to accommodate different alien body types. Ambassador Crixtall led the alien delegation. He was tall and thin with blue skin and large eyes that seemed to see everything. With him were 4 other aliens, each representing major Council species. I am Ambassador Crixtall of the Galactic Harmony Council, the alien said in perfect English. We come seeking understanding between our civilizations. I am Ambassador Beth Collins, representing humanity and Earth, Beth replied. We are honored to meet with representatives of the Council. The first few hours went well. Both sides exchanged basic information about their cultures, their history, and their technology. The aliens seemed fascinated by human development, especially how quickly humans had advanced from primitive beginnings to space travel. Your species is very young, observed Crixtall. Most Council species took much longer to develop spaceflight. How did you advance so rapidly? Captain Kane answered carefully. Humans are good at solving problems quickly. When we face challenges, we adapt and overcome them. Including military challenges, added War Coordinator Thacklon, the stone-like alien who had joined the meeting. Your ship carries enough weapons to destroy one of our space stations. Why does an explorer need such firepower? The room became tense. Beth could feel the atmosphere change as the real purpose of the meeting became clear. The Council wasn't just interested in friendship. They wanted to understand and control human military capabilities. Space is dangerous, Beth replied calmly. We build our ships to survive whatever they might encounter. The weapons are for defense. Defense against what? Asked Crixtall. This region of space has been peaceful for centuries. Dr. Turner spoke up. Our region of space has been different. We've faced natural disasters, dangerous phenomena, and conflicts among human colonies. We learned to be prepared for anything. The alien delegation exchanged looks. It was clear they were having some kind of silent conversation, using technology humans didn't understand. Finally, Crixtall spoke again. The Council maintains peace in this galaxy through cooperation and mutual benefit. All species contribute to the common good and accept Council guidance in matters of galactic security. Beth felt her heart sink. She could see where this was heading. What kind of guidance? Member species agree to limits on military development, explained War Coordinator Thacklon. No single world maintains weapons that could threaten other Council members. This prevents wars and ensures stability. In other words, said Lieutenant Commander Brooks, you want us to give up our right to defend ourselves. The tension in the room became thick enough to cut with a knife. Captain Kane leaned forward. Let me make something clear. Humanity has always believed in defending itself. We don't start fights, but we finish them. That attitude is exactly why the Council system exists, replied Crixtall. Individual species cannot be trusted with unlimited military power. History shows that eventually they use it. Whose history? Beth asked sharply. You said this region has been peaceful for centuries. That means you don't really know what war is like. We do. Ambassador Crixtall's blue face seemed to darken. Are you threatening the Council? No, Beth said firmly. We're explaining our position. Humanity will gladly trade with the Council, share knowledge, and work together on peaceful projects. But we will not disarm, and we will not accept limits placed on us by others. The war coordinator stood up, his stone body making grinding sounds. Then you reject Council membership and choose to remain outside our protection? Captain Kane also stood. We don't need your protection. We can protect ourselves. Can you protect yourselves against the combined fleets of 47 worlds? Thacklin asked menacingly. The silence that followed was deadly. Both sides stared at each other across the table, and Beth realized that diplomacy was about to fail. The Council had made their position clear. Submit or face the consequences. Gentlemen, ladies, Beth said quietly, let me be very clear about humanity's position. We came here seeking friendship. We offered trade, cooperation, and mutual respect. In response, you've demanded our submission and threatened us with war. She stood up and looked directly at each alien representative. If the Council chooses war over friendship, then war is what you'll get. But understand this. Humanity has been fighting wars since before your Council existed. We know how to win them. Ambassador Crixtall's large eyes seemed to grow even larger. You would fight the entire Council over your pride? No, Captain Kane said as he joined Beth. We'd fight for our freedom. There's a difference. The meeting ended with both sides agreeing to report back to their leaders. As the alien delegation returned to their ship, Beth wondered if she had just started the first interstellar war in human history. But she knew that some things were worth fighting for, and freedom was one of them. Admiral Patricia Wells stood in the command center on Luna Station, watching the tactical displays with growing concern. The woman who commanded all human space forces was 58 years old, and had seen more battles than she cared to remember. But she had never faced anything like this situation. Report from the Leviathan confirms it, said her aide, Commander Steve Parker. The Council has given humanity an ultimatum. Submit to their authority or face military action. Patricia studied the star maps showing Council fleet movements. Red dots marked enemy ships throughout their territory, all moving toward human space. The numbers were staggering. How many ships are they mobilizing? Over 8,000 confirmed, possibly more. They're calling it the Grand Fleet. Patricia felt a cold anger building in her chest. These aliens had existed in their comfortable peace for so long that they thought they could simply demand humanity's surrender. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Send the signal, she ordered. Operation Steel Wall is now active. Across human space, her message triggered responses that had been planned for years. Earth's massive orbital shipyards went to full production. The colonies at Mars, Europa, and Titan began loading military supplies onto transport ships. Most importantly, 3 of humanity's most powerful vessels began their journey toward the Kepler 442 system. The UES Colossus left Earth orbit first. Captain Greg Matthews commanded a crew of 45,000 aboard the massive warship. Like the Leviathan, the Colossus was built for battle, with armor that could withstand planet-killing weapons and guns that could crack moons. From Mars came the UES Dominion under Captain Helen Price. She was known throughout the fleet as Iron Helen because she never retreated from a fight. Her ship carried the newest human weapons, including experimental energy systems that even the other human ships didn't have. The third ship, UES Sovereign, launched from the shipyards at Titan. Captain Tony Rodriguez was young for a Titan-class commander, but he had earned his position by being the best tactical mind in the human fleet. His ship was equipped with advanced sensors and communication systems that could coordinate entire battle groups. As the 3 ships traveled toward the meeting point, their crews prepared for the possibility of war. Everyone knew that the next few days would determine humanity's place in the galaxy. They would either earn respect as equals, or they would take it by force. Back near Kepler 442, Captain Kane received word that help was coming. He called his senior officers to the bridge to discuss their situation. The Council scout ships still surrounded them, but now there were more of them. 50 alien vessels formed a tight blockade around the Leviathan. They're testing us, said First Officer Jake Harrison, seeing how we react to being surrounded. Dr. Nick Foster, the ship's strategic analyst, had been studying Council military tactics for weeks. Based on their historical records, they've never fought a peer-level opponent. Their tactics are designed for overwhelming weaker enemies with numbers. What about their technology? Asked Captain Kane. Individual ships are weaker than ours, but they have some advantages. Their energy weapons are very accurate, and their ships are more maneuverable than ours. In a close fight, they could be dangerous. Communications Officer Amy Foster interrupted the discussion. Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the Council blockade leader. He wants to speak with you. On the main screen, an alien face appeared. This one looked like a cross between a human and a lizard, with green scales and yellow eyes. Captain Kane, I am Fleet Commander Zarmoth of the Council Defense Forces. You will prepare your crew for inspection and surrender your weapons. Kane felt his jaw tighten. Commander Zarmoth, we are in international space conducting peaceful exploration. We will not surrender our weapons or submit to inspection. Then you are in violation of Council security protocols. Submit immediately or face the consequences. And what consequences would those be? Kane asked calmly. The alien's yellow eyes seemed to glow brighter. Destruction of your vessel and all aboard. Jake Harrison stepped forward. Commander, let me remind you that destroying a diplomatic vessel would be considered an act of war by my government. Your government is not recognized by the Council, Zarmoth replied. You are pirates and criminals in Council space. Captain Kane had heard enough. Commander, I'm going to give you some free advice. Back your ships away from mine and wait for the proper diplomatic authorities to resolve this situation. If you continue to threaten my vessel and crew, I will consider it an act of aggression. You dare threaten the Council? Zarmoth snarled. I don't make threats, Kane replied coldly. I make promises. The transmission ended with the alien commander's face disappearing from the screen. But the Council ships didn't move away. Instead, they began moving closer to the Leviathan, tightening their blockade. 2 days later, the situation changed dramatically. Long-range sensors detected 3 massive energy signatures approaching the system at high speed. The other human Titan-class ships had arrived. Captain Kane watched the tactical display as his reinforcements took positions around the alien blockade. The UES Colossus, UES Dominion, and UES Sovereign formed a triangle with the Leviathan at the center. The 4 human ships were now surrounded by Council vessels, but the aliens were also surrounded by humans. This is Admiral Patricia Wells of the Human Space Navy. Came a transmission from the Colossus. To all Council vessels, you are ordered to withdraw from this system immediately. Any attempt to board or attack human vessels will be considered an act of war. Fleet Commander Zarmoth's response was swift and angry. Human warships, you are outnumbered 12-1. Surrender now or be destroyed. Admiral Wells's reply was calm and confident. Commander, you seem to be confused about something. Numbers don't win battles. Superior weapons and training do. Would you like a demonstration? Before Zarmoth could respond, all 4 human ships turned their main guns toward a cluster of large asteroids at the edge of the system. Captain Kane gave the order that would change galactic history forever. All ships, synchronized firing pattern. Target the asteroid cluster. Full power. The demonstration began with the Leviathan. Its main guns fired beams of pure energy that lit up space like small suns. The asteroids, each one the size of a small mountain, simply vanished in flashes of brilliant light. Then the Colossus fired. Its weapons were even more powerful, turning an asteroid field into glowing gas in seconds. The Dominion followed, its experimental energy systems creating effects that the Council sensors couldn't even measure properly. Finally, the Sovereign fired its guns. The youngest human ship produced weapon effects that seemed to bend space itself, making nearby stars flicker and causing gravitational waves that registered on sensors throughout the system. When the firing stopped, the asteroid cluster was gone. Not destroyed, not broken apart, but completely vaporized as if it had never existed. The demonstration had lasted less than 30 seconds, but its effects would last forever. The Council blockade fleet sat in stunned silence. Their sensors showed energy readings that exceeded anything in their databases. The 4 human ships had just demonstrated the ability to destroy entire fleets with a single coordinated attack. Fleet Commander Zarmoth's voice shook when he finally responded. Impossible. No weapons can generate that much power. Commander, Admiral Wells replied. Those were our lightest weapons, fired at minimum power settings. Would you like to see what our heavy guns can do? The answer came not from Zarmoth, but from distant council space. Emergency transmissions flooded the communication channels as the implications of the demonstration reached council leadership. The humans hadn't just shown they could fight the Grand Fleet, they had shown they could destroy it. The effects of the weapons demonstration spread across the galaxy, faster than the light from the destroyed asteroids. Within hours, emergency sessions convened on every council world as leaders tried to understand what they had just witnessed. The comfortable certainty of 3,000 years of dominance had been shattered in 30 seconds. Chancellor Zeftai stood before the emergency assembly on Altair Prime, looking at faces filled with fear and confusion. The holographic images of dozens of species leaders flickered around the great chamber, each one demanding answers that she didn't have. The energy readings are confirmed, reported Chief Science Advisor Kexnim, his jellyfish-like form pulsing with nervous light. The human weapons exceed our most powerful systems by factors we cannot calculate. Their demonstration destroyed matter at the atomic level. War Coordinator Thaklon's stone body seemed smaller somehow, as if the weight of reality had crushed his confidence. Our entire Grand Fleet would be helpless against 4 of their ships. They could destroy our most heavily defended worlds in minutes. The chamber erupted in panicked voices as representatives of 47 species all tried to speak at once. Some called for immediate surrender. Others demanded a preemptive strike with every weapon the Council possessed. A few wise voices suggested trying diplomacy again, but they were drowned out by the chaos. Silence. Chancellor Zeftai's voice cut through the noise. Panic will not solve this crisis. We must think clearly about our options. What options? Demanded Councillor Nixara. They have made their position clear. They will not submit to Council authority, and they have the power to enforce their independence. Admiral Veltar activated his tactical displays, showing the current positions of all Council and human ships. The immediate question is whether to order our blockade fleet to withdraw. If we continue to threaten their ships, they may attack. The thought sent a chill through every leader present. 4 human ships could potentially destroy the entire blockade force without taking significant damage. The loss would be catastrophic, both militarily and politically. We must contact their leadership directly, said Chancellor Zeftai. Bring me a communication channel to Earth. Meanwhile, in the Kepler 442 system, the 4 human Titan-class ships maintained their positions around the now nervous Council blockade. Captain Kane stood on the bridge of the Leviathan, watching as alien ships began slowly, backing away from the human formation. Admiral, Wells is requesting a private communication, reported Amy Foster. The Admiral's image appeared on Kane's personal screen. Patricia Wells looked tired but determined. Marcus, how are the aliens reacting to our demonstration? They're scared, Kane replied honestly. Their fleet commander hasn't said a word since we vaporized those asteroids. I think they're starting to understand that they can't simply bully us into submission. Good. But we need to be careful not to push too hard. Our goal is respect, not conquest. Before Kane could reply, Communications Officer Amy Foster interrupted. Captain, we're receiving a direct transmission from Altair Prime. It's marked as coming from the highest levels of Council leadership. Put it through to all 4 ships, Admiral Wells ordered. The main screen activated, showing Chancellor Zeftai in the Great Council chamber. Behind her, Kane could see dozens of alien faces, all looking worried and uncertain. I am Chancellor Zeftai of the Galactic Harmony Council, she began. I wish to speak directly with the leaders of humanity. Admiral Wells stepped forward on her own bridge. I am Admiral Patricia Wells, Commander of the Human Space Navy. I speak with the full authority of Earth's government. Admiral Wells, the demonstration of your weapons has made the Council's position clear. We miscalculated the nature of your civilization. We wish to open new negotiations. What kind of negotiations? Wells asked. The Chancellor seemed to struggle with her words. We propose a mutual recognition treaty. Humanity would be acknowledged as a sovereign power with full rights to your territory and military development. In exchange, you would agree to respect existing Council territorial boundaries and participate in joint defense against external threats. Captain Kane felt a smile forming on his face. This was exactly what they had hoped to achieve. The Council was offering to treat humanity as an equal partner rather than a subordinate member. We would also like to establish trade agreements and scientific exchanges, continued the Chancellor. Your technology could benefit council worlds, and our knowledge could help human development. Admiral Wells nodded slowly. These terms sound reasonable as a starting point. However, we will need formal negotiations to work out the details. Of course, we propose that the negotiations take place aboard your vessel, the Leviathan. It has become a symbol of the new reality in our galaxy. Over the next several days, the formal negotiations took place in the Leviathan's conference room. Ambassador Beth Collins led the human delegation, working with a team of experts, to craft agreements that would protect human interests while opening new opportunities for cooperation. The key final treaty was signed by Captain Kane as the senior human military officer present, with Chancellor Zeftai representing the Council. The document established humanity as the 48th member of an expanded Galactic Harmony Council, but with special status as a major power rather than a junior member. Commander Sarah Jenkins, who had been assigned as the fleet's new diplomatic coordinator, read the key provisions aloud. Human territory shall remain under exclusive human control. Human military forces shall not be subject to council limitations. Humans shall have equal voting rights on all council decisions affecting galactic security. As the signing ceremony concluded, Captain Kane looked around the room at the alien faces that had once seemed threatening, but now appeared relieved. The Council had learned that the galaxy was bigger than they had thought, and that other species could be just as strong as they were. But the real changes were happening throughout Council space. On industrial worlds that hadn't built warships in centuries, massive construction projects began as species realized they could no longer rely on collective security alone. The comfortable peace of 3 millennia had ended, replaced by a new age of competition and advancement. Dr. Alex Turner, studying the biological and social data they had gathered, made an important observation. The Council species had become soft through centuries of peace. They had forgotten that the universe is a dangerous place that rewards the strong and prepared. And now they're remembering, added Dr. Nick Foster. Our arrival didn't just change the military balance. It changed their entire way of thinking. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth, sensors detected massive fleet movements throughout Council territory. But these weren't preparations for war against humanity. Instead, the Council species were frantically modernizing their militaries, building new ships and developing new technologies. Captain Kane stood on the observation deck of the Leviathan, watching the stars and thinking about what had happened. Humanity had come seeking knowledge and friendship, and they had found both. But they had also forced an entire galactic civilization to grow up and face reality. "Sir," said Jake Harrison, joining him at the viewport, "the other ships are ready to depart. Admiral Wells is asking if you want to lead the formation home." Kane nodded, taking one last look at the alien ships that were now their partners rather than their enemies. "Yes, let's go home. We have a lot to report and even more to prepare for." As the 4 human ships aligned and began their journey back to Earth, they left behind a galaxy that would never be the same. The Galactic Harmony Council still existed, but now it was truly a council of equals, and in the depths of space, other unknown civilizations looked toward the lights of both human and council space, wondering what this new balance of power might mean for the future. The age of human isolation was over. The age of galactic partnership had begun, and somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, both friends and enemies were taking notice of the species that had changed everything, simply by refusing to bow down.